Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hugnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose.
Welcome back to another episode of the ThunderCast. I am Russ Livingood, and I am joined by Jed Horton. Jed and I, once a week, bring you 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week, and also take you around the herd. And Jed, we're going to do that, but I just want to start off and say the ThunderCast is a proud member of the College Huddle. You can find it at thecollegehuddle.com, and we have articles, collaborations, that sort of thing with this huge podcasting. I don't want to call it a network. It's just a lot of similar-minded podcasts. So, you know, if you want to see what somebody else in the Sun Belt's doing or somebody across the country that we may be playing, they've got all kinds of content over there and links to those podcasts. Also, make sure to find us on ThunderCast.Online, bookmark it, share it with your friends. We have a crazy successful article over there right now, our transfer portal tracker for football. And Jed, believe it or not, we have crossed pretty well over 30,000 views on that article alone. Lot of activity on that. We try to be as accurate as we can. Sometimes we're not putting those out as frequently as other people, but I will say that we have confirmations and we're accurate when we do it. Also, KD does an amazing job over on Twitter, X. ThunderCast_pod is the handle. If you're not already, give that a follow, and you'll have a lot of news and interaction with KD over there. And finally, if you're watching on YouTube or if you are on your favorite audio streaming app, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, share it with your friends. That's how we get the word out on this, and we can bring you a lot more content as we continue to grow the show. Jed, with that, I want to turn it over to you. And this is, what is this now? About 4 weeks we've been doing this? 5 weeks?
Yeah, I believe so. For at least 4th episode.
Yeah, settling right in. How are you feeling so far?
So far, feeling pretty good. You know, I think I'm getting into it a little bit. I don't have that KD energy.
No, I don't.
Anybody can match him.
Yeah, I don't have that. Fans of the show are going to see 2 very different shows when they see me and him on there, me and you on there. He has been doing this for a long time. He's got a lot different energy, different perspective. But, you know, we have decided to split these up to where we're doing this and he's doing that with me. And it brings us a little bit shorter, more concise shows, a little more frequent options, just trying to do what the fans may want and give you a lot more info. All right, I'm going to get us started, but first, I got to give a shout out, man, to 304carwreck.com, Leasure Oliver PLLC, as they are known professionally, and they have been the title sponsor of this show since what I like to say is day 0 or day -25 or something like that. Way before we ever recorded, we had them set up as our title sponsor, and they are one of the sponsors that help us bring all this content to you, all the free things that we do for the fans. It's all because of our sponsors. 304carwreck.com, Leasure Oliver PLLC has been with us since the beginning. They cover all of West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. And we always say, if you get in a wreck and you go and talk to your insurance provider, insurance agency, the responsible party's insurance agency, all of those do not have your best interest in mind. They have their best interest in mind to pay you out way less than what you deserve and what you need sometimes for your medical bills and your vehicle replacement. So don't be a victim twice. Find them at 304carwreck.com. All right, Jed, it's another week. I don't know how many times I've said, here's 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. And then it's like 14 things that we have. We actually, this week, for the first time in a long time, only have a true 5.
Wow.
So I'm going to get us started. Here are 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by Ignite Link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. Number 1, Kylie Maston named the Sunbelt Conference Women's Indoor Track Athlete of the Week for the 2nd week in a row. She set 2 personal records, individually with a time of 9 minutes, 26 seconds in the 3K, and as a team with Hannah Weiler, Bryn McKeever, and McKenna Woodruff in the distance medley relay with a time of 11 minutes, 42.46 seconds. That was also a school record for the DMR distance medley relay.
Of course it was. I think, this has been the recurring theme so far this season has been record-breaking, personal bests. Having track and field back was a real big thing, and to see them take off and perform as well as they have been is speaking very highly of the program, and the fact that it was the right decision to bring it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the men's side, it was brought back in 2022, but I think the first time that they met was in 2023. So this is maybe technically the 3rd season of it. I think it was January 23 is when the men had their first meet.
Got the men back, yeah.
Yeah, and what we've seen as a recurring theme here that we talk about all the time on 5 things is you've got Kylie Maston taking over where her counterpart, her former teammate, that's all she did, man, was break records. And now here's Kylie doing it, and she's breaking her own records and setting personal bests. And now here's one in a relay team as well.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more in Around the Herd. But they track and field. They did very well in their meet this past in the past meet they were in. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, and number 2 is going to be in this same vein. Addison Painter broke his own school record in the men's long jump again with a new distance of 7.68 meters. Viewers, listeners may remember we just talked about this last week, and he had broken his own record that he set in December. He broke it last week with a 7.58 meter jump. And now he is at 7.68 meters, broke it again. This is 3 times within about 4 weeks, 5 weeks that he's broken or set the school record.
Wow. That's, again, along with the theme of breaking records, personal bests. Congrats to Addison, man. He's killing it. And I will expect to see more down the road.
Now, the way these things work, last week I'm fairly certain he was 3rd nationally in this long jump, and now he is 7th. So even though he increased his personal best and school record, he dropped a little bit nationally, and that's because somebody else nationally, jumped ahead of him. No pun intended, but when you're top 7 in the country, or you're top 3 in the country, top 10 in the country, that is amazing considering how many different long jump athletes there are for this. In the Sun Belt, I don't think there's anybody ahead of him right now. I did not get to see who those other 6 are, but it's always a great place to be when you're talking about Kylie Maston, Addison Painter, where they're located right now in the Sun Belt, and we still have a little bit to go before we get to those Sun Belt championships. Another, let's say, 6 weeks or something like that, I believe it is. So just amazing what they're doing right now. All right, number 3, Saturday's women's basketball game at the CAM has been postponed until Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's due to weather concerns. It's part of many postponements across the Sun Belt Conference. And people may say, why? Look outside. It's not that bad. And we've been dealing with this for a long time. Well, it's not about us. It's about the teams that are flying up here, driving up here, that sort of thing. And Southern Miss is having it delayed for just one more day, give them a little more time travel-wise to get up here safely.
Yeah, I saw some of those videos throughout the South. I mean, it's crazy. Was that the most snow they've received? I'm trying to think where I saw that at.
I've got one for you. I've got one for you right now. It's in Florida, and they had 10 inches of snow, and they said as of now, so they might have some more that's expected, but as of right now, 10 inches of snow. The previous record was 3 inches of snow in 1895. So historic levels of snow down there. Anyone that has been up here and has grown up in the snow and driven around in it and things like that, we don't think a thing of it. It's just things we have to go through. If we went to Minnesota or a place like that is just getting bombarded with snow, it would be really different for us. Wisconsin, Minnesota, that sort of thing. Well, down in the South, I've been down there when it has snowed, and they just, as a general rule, are not prepared for it.
It shuts down. They don't have the trucks. They don't have the equipment. Because generally speaking, they
don't face it.
Well, especially, I doubt they're going to pull out a truck from 1895 to.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that.
I would too. So, I mean, if you're talking well over 100 years since your last big snow, I would say probably good move to not invest all that money in all those trucks.
Man, I don't have the hour that this story truly needs to drive home just what a great story it is. But coming home from the 2004 Fort Worth Bowl where Marshall was taking on Cincinnati, we got in one of these historic southern snows, and it was snow and ice on the interstate. In Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, the governor at the time, got on the radio and deployed their fleet of, get this, sawdust trucks. Well, that's going to help you. That's going to help you get out of a driveway, but it's not really going to do much with 2.5 inches of ice on the interstate.
Right.
So, the South is just not prepared for it. So, rightfully so, they're doing some delays across the Sun Belt, and ultimately keeping everybody safe and these teams safe is what's most important.
Right. Absolutely.
Number 4, Marshall received votes in the final AP poll for college football, officially finishing 31st in the country. The 8 points came from 2 25th place votes and 1 20th place vote.
I think that's pretty fitting. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play our bowl game. You hypothetically play that game and you hypothetically win that game. This right here is showing us that you probably end in the top 25 at the end of the year if you get to play that bowl game. So you got a team that's their 2 losses were out of conference, Virginia Tech and Ohio State, and a super close loss. They shouldn't have lost to Georgia Southern. I think that's pretty accurate for where the Herd should have placed.
Yeah, a couple of things that crossed my mind immediately. 3 things. Number 1 was truly, truly glad that we got a little bit of recognition.
Yeah.
Number 2, I couldn't help but wonder if not playing in the bowl game and the attention negatively that got, if that dinged us a little bit in some sports writers' eyes here in the AP poll. And third, where would we have placed had we won that Georgia Southern game? You would have been undefeated in the Sun Belt. You would have had 2 losses, one against the national champion, who was in Ohio State, who just decimated just about everybody in the playoffs, and then lost on the road at Virginia Tech. I would think maybe somewhere in the 15 to 20 range wouldn't be out of the question with only 2 losses, one of them being to the national champion. But the ball did not bounce that way. We did not win that game. Losing that game could have been the catalyst to put us on that run for the rest of the year. It's hard to play woulda, coulda, shoulda, that sort of thing, but it just makes you wonder, where we could have finished.
Yeah, I think cracking the top 20 could have very definitely. I mean, that was in the cards. Virginia Tech, it was what it was. Ohio State obviously was what it was. But yeah, you finished the year with the win against Louisiana and a win against Army in that bowl. I still think you probably get that bowl. I would think. Undefeated. It's hard to tell. I don't think you don't get the bid.
I don't know if you leapfrog Boise or not. Sun Belt was a good league. Going 8-0 in the Sun Belt would have been. That's a great topic to try to consider. But I think a leap from 31st in the country up to the top 20 would be a hell of a leap. But if you talk about going undefeated in your conference with a conference championship win, not even anything changes with the bowl situation. But your only two losses, if that would have gone that way, would have been to the national champion and then Virginia Tech on the road, even though Virginia Tech did not finish the season near, what everyone expected them to at the start of the season. I think that might have been enough to bump us up and get maybe 20th overall, something like that. But anyway, I'll take 31st. Given the circumstances, I will take 31st, given just about everybody nationally saying 5-7, 6-6 is your, where you should be and things like that. I'll take all these all day, every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad, even though with unfortunately some of the negative press, that we did get a little bit of love, and always glad to see Marshall get a little bit of love.
Yeah. Number 5, our fifth and final thing, the green and white game for Herd football has been set. That is Saturday, April the 12th at 4 p.m.
Okay. So I know where I'm going to be April 12th at probably 10 a.m.
Well, if you're coming at 10, you're real late, but
right.
we're going to have a good time. We've had a good time consistently since we've done this show. But things are going to be a little bit different this year. Found out today in discussions with the Kentucky Mash Boys that have been doing the bringing the smokers in and having that, they're not available for this game. Also, we don't have a home softball game the next day, so that logistics was going to be different, because we've been doing the green and white game, having this huge blowout tailgate, and then the very next day duplicating it at the softball field. But they're going to be on the road, so things are going to be different. Things are still to be decided. We don't know kind of what we're doing. We're going to do something. Right. It's just going to be different from the last couple of years, but we're going to do something.
Oh, absolutely. And regardless of what everyone ends up doing, I think there's going to be definitely a great crowd. You're going to have people excited to see, Coach Gibson first year.
Yep.
All these recruits we're getting in.
Yep.
Let's kind of see what Marshall's going to look like a little bit.
Yeah, I always say that we're more than 4 months removed from football by that point, and everybody kind of creeps up on them, that, hey, we haven't seen Marshall football in a third of a year. So you get that energy. But here lately, teams just look so different with the transfer portal and things that you want to go and see what the team's going to look like. Well, this year, you've got both of those things, but an entire new coaching staff to go with all these new players, a new offensive scheme, defensive scheme. It's going to be exciting for everybody to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. It can't come soon enough.
That's right, man. Because that's also going to bring warmer weather, and it won't be -1 when I'm taking the pups out at 5:30 in the morning and leaving for work. So, Jed, that does it for 5 things every Herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by Ignite Link.
That was a great 5 things. I kind of missed a little bit that we didn't have 15 things, but always a good 5 things. So how about you say we take it around the herd, Russ?
Let's do it, man.
All right. So around the herd, and now Layer 1 Solutions, your experts in business connectivity infrastructure, takes you around the herd. We're going to start off with tennis. Beat Cleveland State 4-3 and Youngstown State 4-3. They will be hosting Eastern Kentucky Friday at 4 p.m. and Bellarmine Saturday at 10 a.m. So Russ and I, before I throw it over to you, Russ and I were having a little discussion before we hit the record button. And I'm going to ask Russ, can you explain to me a little bit about the scoring? Because I was completely unaware of how tennis is scored, seeing that I was never recruited to play tennis at anything or any level because I am terrible at tennis.
Yeah, and there might be people listening or watching that say Russ doesn't know what the hell he's talking about when I get done with this. But as I understand it, we've got doubles and we've got singles. Well, they award 1 point for doubles. And here at this event, I've got up right now the Cleveland State meet, the matchup there. There were 3 doubles. So 2 out of 3 gets you that point, if that makes sense. And we did that. We picked up wins from the team of Sophia Hurion and Alina Makarinskaya, and then Aisling McGrain and Neil Van Hoot. Both of those doubles teams won. So 2 out of 3 of the doubles matchups gives us 1 point. So that's 1 out of that 4-3 score that you mentioned. And then singles, there were 6 different matchups. And we picked up, let's say you split that 3 and 3. Well, there's your 1 point for doubles, 3 points for the singles victories, and that's how you get your points. So it's a best of 7, but you get 1 for doubles and then as many singles victories as you need to get to your 4 points.
And I appreciated you explaining that because I did not know.
Well,
our listeners know too. And then remember, guys, at Russ Livinggood if he's completely wrong.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, which I'm sure I am, but this is all found on Herd Zone, and we were never able to go. I can't go to Cleveland State and watch this, and a lot of the times these are not on ESPN Plus, so you can't even watch them. You rely on these articles, and the guys over at Herd Zone do a great job. And most of the people don't realize that's where we get all of these results. A lot of our news, it just comes from Herd Zone. So if you're not going to Herd Zone, go to Herd Zone. Actually read the articles. Actually see the news that they're reporting on in the matchups. And that's where I got this. I'm just real briefly go over here the victories that we got at Cleveland State to get us to the 4 points I already told you for doubles. And then Alina Makarinskaya got a singles victory, as did Sophia Hurion, Aisling McGrain, and Neil Van Hoot. So just happened to be that Aisling McGrain did not win, but all 3 singles victories were by people that also picked up doubles victories. So you can find all that at Herd Zone. Same thing for the other matchup against Youngstown. We won that 4-3, and we ended up getting the doubles victory there, and we won 2 out of those 3, and then picked up 3 singles victories, and that's how we got our 4 points there too.
Well, congratulations to tennis. And look forward to seeing what they do against Eastern Kentucky and Bellarmine.
Yeah, it's always good to start off. That was 2 matches there over the weekend, a Friday and Saturday, and that's the first action they've been in for a while. They usually take a pretty healthy break, around the Christmas holidays and everything. Pick up, I think it's like early in December, maybe even earlier than that. They start their break and then pick it back up mid-January. So first matchups of the 2025 year, and they pick up 2 victories and got a chance to grab a couple more by the time we discuss them next week.
Yeah, and I say we keep that rolling. So next, track and field. We had mentioned them, a couple people in the 5 things, but they participated in the Vanderbilt Invitational. And then this coming Friday and Saturday, they will be participating in the Hokie Invitational down at Virginia Tech. Looking at I've got the article pulled up here, Russ. But we know Addison Painter. Obviously, he broke his school record with a 7.68 meter jump, putting him in 7th place. We talked about that. And then one of the things I did notice here was the DMR relay. The men's team of you had a men's team and then the women's team, and the women's team placed 2nd, and that was on Friday's event. And then Saturday you had the 3K time with Rebecca Merritt and Kylie Maston, and heard freshman Micah Hinton qualifying for the finals in the 60 meter dash. And then I'm going to read through a couple here just to throw some names out there. Rebecca Merritt did shot put, the open division, got 8th place with a 13.58 meter throw. And then you've got the 60 meters. Micah Hinton, he qualified with a 6.9. Then Micah Hinton in the finals placed 7th with a 6.81. Then Kylie Maston doing Kylie Maston things, 3rd with a time of 9:26.76. So some results out there.
And Rebecca Merritt, you had mentioned there in the hammer throw, in the weight throw on Friday, she picked up 2nd overall in that 19.44 meters. She's one that we talk about here all the time on here for the around the herd and sometimes for the 5 things. And she is consistently at all these different meets, finishing 1st, 2nd, 3rd in these throws. Just a great career so far for her.
Yeah. Moving over to swim and dive, they will be hosting Ohio Friday at 7 p.m.
Yeah, we've been talking about them, all the different records they've broken. Huge, just absolutely huge last week. Swept the pool again when we were discussing them. They didn't have any meets this past week, or they probably would have had another couple of swim and dive of the weeks that we would have talked about in 5 things. But they've got a home meet right here, Friday, 7 p.m. I promise you, we say it all the time, if you go there, you're going to have a blast. Go to happy hour, go over there, watch a little swim and dive, then go out for the evening. Really, really good time, I'm telling you. Again, enter as you would for basketball at the top of the ramp, about the 3rd or 4th door on the right, but you'll see it, can't miss it. It says swimming and diving in that herd font, that Marshall font on the wall. And you go through that door and you're up above the pool of the Gullickson Hall, and that's where the bleachers and everything are, and you'll see a pretty decent crowd in there.
You know what, Russ? I hate to admit this, but I have not gone to a swim and dive event.
Maybe me and you need to just go do that, Jed.
I think we need to go. All right. It's a done deal. Moving on to women's basketball. I just, unfortunate, lost a close one to Appalachian State, 68-64. And then they will host Georgia Southern at 6 p.m. tonight as we record, Wednesday night. And then they will also host Southern Miss on Sunday at 1 p.m. And then they'll travel to Coastal next Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Yeah, so that App State game, man, close. They were ahead in the going into the 4th quarter. We actually had a pretty decent lead in the 2nd quarter, and it was either tied or real close. I can't remember. See if I can find it here. Tied 29 all at half. And we had the lead 55-52, and then it just kept going back and forth. and with the final minute or so, we lost the game. This is one we needed. We are still winless in Sunbelt play, and we talked about how that JMU game and the ODU game and all the different things where they were showing all this different promise. And then that other JMU game, we lost 93-65 and was like, yeah, but before that, we were showing all this promise. Seems like we're right there. This was another one of those games that I thought we're going to get over this. App State now, as of that game, was 9-8, but they were a 500 team when we were playing them, and we were winless in the conference and just could not bring home the victory.
Looking at just some stats here from that game, just to kind of showcase how close it was. From field goals, we were 40.4%, 21 out of 52. App State was 22 out of 57 for a 38.6%. So we edge them out there. 3-point attempts, we made 10 out of 25 for 40%. App State 11 for 26, 42.3. They edge us out there a little bit. Here's where a big discrepancy is. We only made 12 out of 18 free throws for a 66% free throw percentage, while App State got 81%. We out rebounded them by 10, 37-27. But we did lose the turnover battle 17-11. So in that game, as you talked about, it's just little tweaks here and there. And I think we walk away with that game. The girls played well. It just couldn't lock it in at the end.
Yeah. We were up by 12 at one point. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you think, well, this is that game, that turning point. Out rebounded them. Shot amazing from three, 40%. Usually if you shoot 40% from three, especially if you take a lot, that's a typical winner. We shot pretty bad from the field overall at 40.4, but they were even worse. Like you said, 38.6, turnovers, missed free throws, just those little things. We could not come up with it. We've got to turn it around. The players want it. The coaches want it. The fans want it. Everybody wants it. They want to see it. I'm hoping, as it is going on right now, that tonight is that game. Like you said, it's a 6 p.m. tip, and we're 15 minutes into the game right now as we record this. So it's got to happen sooner or later. There's too much talent on the team. There's a talented head coach. We knew it was going to be kind of rough, with what we lost from last year, and bringing in a new system and bringing in a new coaching staff and bringing in new players and everybody having to mesh together. But it just seems like one of those things that right now it's when you get a case of the yips, from a baseball analogy, where you just can't make that throw and nothing you do is making that throw. And that seems like what's happening right now is there's just finding ways to not win those games. And I feel like it's got to break. And once it does, maybe that's when we turn it around and have a respectable showing for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for that. And I'm hoping it's tonight, to be honest. So, girls aren't off to a great start at the moment as we record. It's 12-3 Georgia Southern, but we're just barely into the first quarter. So plenty of game left to play.
Well, I have a more up-to-date app than you do. We have closed that lead to 13-8 is where we're at right now. We're down 5 points, but we ended up CC Mays hit a 3, and Aislinn Hayes got a layup, and that's got us back into it. So let's let that monkey get off our back tonight. What do you say?
Let's call it right here.
Yeah.
We're not live, so we'll have to predict the future that will be listened to of us speaking in the past. But I'm hopeful. Moving on to men's basketball. Heck of a comeback, but just couldn't couldn't get it all the way. We
Yeah.
lost to James Madison 67-64.
Mm-hmm.
Man, heck of a turnaround.
Yeah, you and I were talking. We were recording last Thursday, and we were talking during the recording about us being down at the half, and we sure came back and did a lot different. That second half, man, we just chipped away, got in, got real close. Seems like we took the lead, and maybe I'm misremembering, but we were definitely within 2 or 3 points there for back and forth. It seems like we would score, and then they would just score, and never could just take the lead, pull away.
No, it was a heck of a game. I watched the rest of it, and just couldn't close that gap. But valiant effort, unfortunately, didn't get the win. However, we did get our first conference road win against Coastal, beating them 77-64 in what I would consider that I'm going to say fairly dominant fashion. That game at no point ever felt like we were not in control. And
yeah,
the boys, pull off the win at Coastal, giving us our first out of conference or first in conference away game.
Yep. Now 10-9 overall. We are in conference now 4-3. And again, we had talked about those losses. Let's go back and talk about our conference losses here. Southern Miss lost by 2. Texas State. Was it Texas State?
I believe so.
No, it was Troy. We beat Texas State. We lost by 1 point to Troy, and then we've now lost by 3 to James Madison. So 3 games, 6 points total that we're looking about, a ball here and there, a free throw here and there. We're looking at undefeated in the conference. I know it doesn't feel that way, but this is a winnable conference, and we've got it all right there. We just got to string together some more victories, shoot a little bit better from the field, as you and I have been talking the last couple of weeks. As we've shot better, so goes the herd, right? You shoot better from behind the arc, we're doing better. Now, it sounds like basketball 101, but there was only a couple of things really that we were missing. Free throw shooting has plagued us, and at times rebounding has plagued us, but the majority has been free throws and 3-pointers, and that's where we have struggled.
Well, and something to keep in mind as well, as these players have been developing and pulling together, just the emergence of both Jalen Spear and Mingo, and they're and even Dawson as well.
Yeah.
Putting up those points, starting to have pretty good games. With especially when Jalen Spear was shooting, lights out for 2 games in a row. That actually, that's helping contribute. You're having these guys start to emerge who can go get you points. And I would argue earlier in the season, especially with the new team chemistry, you didn't have a couple of those players that could just go out there and, hey, I'm just going to kind of take the game over a little bit and score some points. And so we're seeing those players emerge. We're seeing the rotations starting to tighten up a little bit, and it's working. We're unfortunate loss against James Madison, but winnable game.
Yeah, and Spear has had a lot more minutes played, bigger impact on the games and everything. The past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, the lowest amount of minutes is 29, and that was in that Coastal game where he really wasn't needed as much. But before that, 30, 33, 36, 38. Earlier in the season, first game, he started out, if you remember, he was hurt a little bit, definitely in the preseason, but 9 minutes. Then he had a pretty good one, 29 minutes, but 16, 17, 20, 18. He was just not in the mix as much, and having him in there, I feel like we're a better team with him in there, like you said. But Dawson continues to be great. When Nate Martin's on, he's been great. It's one of these kind of they need to gel at the right time sort of deals.
Yeah. And as we approach, we got the month of, we're closing out this month here. Then we got next month, to really bring it home before we get into conference tournament. Hey, there's time to put it together. There's time to, make that run, especially if being a one bid league. It makes it tougher if you're, not winning, doing well in the conference, but it's not impossible. And there is a path to winning the conference here. So as long as they continue to get better and gel, we're not going to finish near the bottom. I'm confident with that.
Yeah. Yeah, as I think you mentioned it, but tomorrow, or as this posts, it'll be later today. They're at Georgia State, 7 p.m. Then Saturday, Georgia Southern at 3. So continue that 4-game road stretch with a couple of Georgia teams, and then we're back home for 1, 2, 3 games. So need to do these next 5 games. Just really need to get as many victories as we can, shoot us up those standings, and it's going to be highly important, as we've discussed on here before, to finish high in that new look Sunbelt Conference tournament. The higher you're seated, the much easier path you have.
Well, and looking at Georgia Southern and Georgia State, these are winnable games.
They are
for us.
And then you've got Georgia State, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, and Coastal are your next 4 games. And all 4 of those are very winnable. And if you go 4-0 in those, and you're 8-3 in conference, and your 3 losses are by 6 points total, it looks like a pretty good conference schedule to that point. And maybe that gives us enough confidence to build, play better, find out how we match up better against these teams. Some of these teams we're going to be seeing now for the second time. We still have a couple that we haven't played yet. Like we've got Arkansas State coming up, and that's the only time we'll play them, and South Alabama, and that's the only time we're playing them. But a couple of the teams coming up we've already seen, from the east side. So we're not where we want to be, but we're not in a bad position by any means right now.
Right. Yeah, these next 4 games will really kind of give us a good idea, and I'm hopeful we're going 4-0.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it.
Love to see it.
Well, Russ, that wraps up the Around the Herd segment, brought to you by Layer 1 Solutions.
Yeah, and as we've been saying on here, thanks to you, Jed, who is a big part of the ThunderCast, but you're also the CEO of Ignite Link, CEO of Layer 1 Solutions. Without you, just like we mentioned earlier in the show with 304carwreck.com, Leasure Oliver PLLC, without our sponsors, we don't have the show that we have. We don't have what we can bring to the fans without you guys. So anyone watching, listening, make sure that you remember, if you can't use Jed's services at Layer 1 Solutions or Ignite Link, that doesn't mean that the 500 of your best friends can't. So make sure to share. It's at Ignite Link on Twitter. You can find them at Ignite Link on Facebook, ignite.link for Facebook. And then I'll let Jed tell you, so I don't screw it up, where they're at for Layer 1 Solutions.
Yep. So we're not on Twitter as of yet, but we do have a website. It's just L1.solutions. So it's just L1.solutions. You can go to our website. You can see the services that we provide. Low voltage cabling, Cat 6, Cat 6A cabling, rack cleanups, network design, fiber fusion splicing, fiber installation for premise, whether you're a manufacturer, healthcare, what have you. We can provide those services for you. And if you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the show, we've got multiple avenues for you to do that. If you want to be a sponsor of one of the segments, you can always reach out to Russ and KD. for what opportunities there might be there. But we're always looking for sponsors for tailgates. And I know Russ can speak to the tailgates, and we've had some wonderful, wonderful sponsors who have sponsored our tailgates for us. So if you're interested in doing that, reach out to Russ or KD, and they can hook you up.
Yeah, and I don't have anything else. I just want to close out by giving an update. At the end of the first quarter, it's Georgia Southern 19, the Good Ladies 18. So Marshall has really closed that gap. Started out 12-3, like you said, now 19-18. Heck of a run. I hope they keep that up and get that monkey off their back. But other than that, Jed, do you have anything?
I have nothing else. I say
All right.
take us out of here.
Yeah, I'm going to take us out of here and say whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Joan, whether you see us at the Dot, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go Herd. It's the ThunderCast, and we'll see you later.